Hello everyone, this is Player One with Base Me Hero. Today I am bringing you my top 10 pieces of information to know going into Warlords of Draenor. These top 10 are for basic generalizations. This is for just the average player, just the top 10 things pretty much everybody should know going into Warlords of Draenor. So, to start, number one, leveling. Questing. When you are questing, some people don't like to quest when they level. I would recommend it for this because there are chances now with every quest you do for your hero to get randomly awarded with rare or epic loot. So hey, if you quest and you get some epic gear, hey, that's awesome, fantastic. Number two, when you get to level 100, your Raid Finder gear, when you start doing some PvE stuff, the Raid Finder gear is going to be 655, just something you might want to know. The 700 item level stuff that you'll probably find when you get into doing normal raids and such, that's kind of what you should look for in terms of the item levels. So you got 655 for the Raid Finder, and then it goes up to around 700 or higher. 700 also might even be heroic. I haven't checked into that fully. The reason I bring up the 700 item level stuff is because PvP. When you get into PvP at level 100, if you do have item level 700 gear, that will be dropped to 690. Just like in current PvP, your stuff might be dropped down to 540, your PvE stuff. So what I would recommend there is do both PvE and PvP going into level 100 to get the fastest gear possible to really kick some butt in PvP right away in Battlegrounds. Eventually you are going to want to get just PvP stuff if you're a PvPer, but until then the PvE things you get will be nice until you earn the honor. One thing to remember though is if you get PvE gear for PvP, the set bonuses do not work in PvP. Number four to know right now, before Warlords of Draenor is released, is the Heirloom weapons from Garage are going to be removed at the X-Pack. So if you get them now, you'll be able to use them, of course, for any of the heroes that you want to. But if you don't have any of the Heirloom weapons, you won't have another chance, at least not right away. They might bring them back later, but they won't be dropped from Garage anymore. Number five, the auction houses. They merged auction houses with Horde, Ally, and Neutral. So now if you're on a server like my guy right here, he's on Mal'Ganis, and that's pretty Horde dominated. So if you have an Alliance character on Mal'Ganis, you're going to be sharing the auction house with the Horde, and there's basically no more neutral auction houses. And number six, as auction houses go, the Black Market auction house has been moved to Draenor, so it's no longer in Pandaria. It's not really something super important, but it might be kind of handy, because you can get some pretty cool stuff off the Black Market auction house. Number seven, Group Finder. They have been reworking Group Finder now for a little while, and with 6.0.2 they released it where you can actually set up some groups and look for groups now through that, rather than having to spam trade chat. But something to know for Warlords of Draenor in the end is that at level 100, the Proving Grounds achievement are going to be visible to the raid leaders. So if you get to 100 and you want to try to get into groups, it's going to be kind of hard to fake it, because they'll be able to see if you went through and did the level 100 Proving Grounds to show that you can do what you say you can do. That actually brings up my next point, which was, what number am I at? I think I'm on number 8 now. Number 8, Proving Grounds at level 100. The stuff that you fight in there is going to scale with your character based on your gear. The minimum is going to be 615. So, as I was saying how Raid Finder is 655, if you have your Heirloom weapon, that goes up to 620. But the stuff you fight in there is going to be a minimum of 615. My guess is it's going to be pretty easy to get 615 down, which will probably be around a bronze. But if you do clear the bronze at level 100, you're going to get a 610 weapon. So that's kind of nice if you don't have the Heirloom weapons. Something else to know, though, that looking for Dungeon Finder, the silver, you will need a silver achievement to get into heroic dungeons on the Looking for Dungeon Finder. Now, you can still make your own groups, you can join other groups if you go there and queue up physically like that, but if you want to use the Finder tool, you will have to have a silver achievement done with that. So then, what are we at? Number 9. Number 9, honor will be wiped at launch. So if you are a PvPer and you're thinking you can save up a bunch of honor for launch and then you can get to 100 and spend it right away, that will not happen. So if you have honor, spend it now. And that brings me to number 10. This is probably the biggest one. I'll spend a couple minutes here talking about it. Garrisons. Garrisons are one of the biggest changes to Warlords of Draenor. It's kind of hard to know where to start with garrisons, but it's the first thing to know is that you're going to start doing this when you start leveling. The garrison is something that will be leveling with you. There are different tiers to garrisons, so when you start leveling at 90, you'll have just an itty-bitty little town in tier 1, and then when you get up to tier 2, you can build more buildings, and then tier 3, I believe, is the top tier right now. To unlock the buildings, there's a lot of different ways you can do it, but the easiest way to start doing it is questing. So when you're questing, you'll be in a zone, you'll get the option to choose which building to build. And then based on what choices you make, it's going to change the gameplay as well. If you choose to build building A instead of building B, you'll have different quests, you'll get different benefits from the buildings that you get. So one piece of information I haven't been able to find yet, but it might be worth trying to find on your own, is if you have building A and your friend has building B, are you going to be able to do the same quests? I don't know if that's going to happen or not. Something to think about and maybe talk about with your friends if you plan on leveling with somebody. Other pieces of the garrison. There will be followers. The followers, basically the townspeople that you can find. The townspeople you'll find all over the place. They're basically going to be like pets and mounts. So you might get followers from doing achievements, you might get some followers from doing quests. There's going to be all kinds of different ways to find followers, and the followers will be people who are going around and doing things in your town. Maybe they're going to be a blacksmith who's going to build stuff, maybe they'll do other things, but one of the bigger parts of the followers, and they do level up as well, by the way, they can do missions. So when you have them going to do missions, that will, well, there's another part of garrisons, is missions. Those missions will give you different rewards and benefits as well. There will be 21 unique buildings from what I can find, and you're going to start with a 4-building plot and you can upgrade it to 10. So out of those 21 buildings that you can unlock, you can build 10 of them. And if you say build one building in those 10 that you don't want anymore after you get to level 100, you will be able to change those. So while the buildings level up as well, you might have a building that you really want and you find out, oh my gosh, this building's really good for my class and my hero. So then you'll tear down one of your buildings and build a different one. One of the bad things in my opinion, there's a couple of bad things in my opinion, these two things. The garrisons are going to be hero specific. So if you have a whole bunch of different alts like I have, you might have 10 characters. Each one of your 10 characters is going to level up and have a different garrison. So it's not like you can jump on your warlock and go build a garrison and then at level 90 you'll have a level 100 garrison. It doesn't work like that. It's kind of a shame that you can't share them, but I can see why they did it, because there's going to be profession type things you can do with your garrisons. So like if your character has 2 professions, say jewel crafting and blacksmithing, then your garrison might give you the option for a 3rd, like tailoring. So you can't have all of your alts sharing garrisons, which, I don't know, I can see pros and cons there. The other problem is that a lot of people were hoping there'd be a lot of customization as your garrisons would go, but it's only going to be Horde and Alliance, Orc and Human buildings. So if you have an undead character like I have right here, you're going to be building Orc buildings, kind of like you'll see in Orgrimmar. If you have a Dwarf, you're going to be building Human buildings, like you'll see in Stormwind. So it's kind of a shame. I mean, you won't have the building types of Thunderbluff, you're not going to have building types of, Ironforge. So it's just going to be Orc buildings and Human buildings. But those are some of the basics. Those are the top 10 things I think people should know going into Warlords of Draenor. It should be a lot of fun. It isn't going to probably be what everyone expects it to be. When you get to 100, it's going to be the same stuff. There's going to be PvP, there's going to be world bosses, there's going to be raids and dungeons. There'll be a few things to do with your garrison at 100. What they wanted to do with those is they did not want people to feel burdened like a chore. They didn't want people to feel they had to do things with their garrison every day. So that's kind of good, but at the same time, hopefully they'll be releasing a lot of content. This last year has been pretty dry as content goes, as everyone knows. But hey, that's the way it goes sometimes. This is a big expansion. Hopefully it's a lot of fun. Anyway, this is Player 1 with Base Me Hero. Thanks for joining me. I'll talk to you next time.